Hi, I'm Avril Millar, and you're listening to GGUTT Talks, GGUTT.
I'm curious about the trainings you do that are different, and this mindset shift also you work on, because you said it's not training as you know it. So I assume it's not mentoring as you know it, advising as you know it.
No, it's not. I mean, I think just going back for one moment to what you were saying about habits and breaking little habits, I think if everyone could grasp the idea of neuroplasticity, then everyone would be much happier. Because this idea of you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I am how I am, or that's how he's always done it. It takes so little to change down, to break down those existing patterns in your brain and to create new ones. Little things like writing with your opposite hand, your non-dominant hand, changing the way you go to work, brushing your teeth standing on one leg. There's all sorts of these tiny little things all add up into something quite profound, because they start to loosen it up. If you're trying to dig in the ground and the ground is very hard, what you do is you poke into it a lot of times to loosen it first. Well, you can do that with yourself at any age. And the teaching and it's not training, it's not teaching. But you know what? I don't know what it is, Maria. I mean, I've just been doing I do a Wednesday session with one of my clients every Wednesday lunchtime, and it's 45 minutes where they turn up online on Zoom. I say, bring your sandwiches or put your earpods in or go for a walk or something, and I talk about something that is interesting. That it could be around, let's have a look at critical thinking. Let's have a look at neuroplasticity. Let's have a look at gut instinct. Let's talk about internal representations and differences. It can be a whole host, and I literally just pluck them out of the sky. It's very disordered. And a lot of people say to me, well, could you make it into a much more formal thing? Well, of course, there are certain outcomes that you want, but how you get there is very different. And another thing, just before joining this call, I was going around my bookshelves, making a list of all the books that I think are worth taking as little, what does this person think sessions. And so we're going to start doing some of those. Not to say this is received wisdom, you have to believe in it all, but just add it into your body of thinking. So yeah, I'd love to be clearer about how I do what I do. I don't know most of the time. And I think one of the big challenges, and I'm sorry if I'm rabbiting over, one of my big challenges is that everything I do is usually direct, live, face-to-face, either literally face-to-face or face-to-face on Zoom. It's not well codified. It would be very difficult to write it down. It would take the life and the energy out of it to write it down. And so if anyone has any brilliant ideas about how to help me do that, to turn it into a framework that I can take out, I would love to hear from them, because I'm stuck.
Interesting. So if you're stuck, everyone else is stuck. So
we all have things we can't do. This is it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you're saying that, because I always have my being stuck periods. Mm-hmm. So it's like each time I want to start again in a certain way, because I find it very hard to define what I do, because I can't put it in one sentence.
Yeah.
And a few words, it's very difficult. But sometimes I think it's about making a decision, but then you feel you're missing out on another chunk where maybe you feel that, or you've seen that you've added value also in a different way. So, but that's, I guess, many people who go through this. And I also think it's about, this goes back to, I'm curious to know, what is it that keeps you going? And probably this is what keeps you going, that you feel you're stuck sometimes. And
yes, I think there would be almost no greater curse for me to be able to wake up in the morning and say, I know exactly how to get all the various workings of my mind out into a format. I don't know whether it's a video or writing or whatever it is, and it's done and it's clear and it's perfect. I think that would probably I would just die. That said, I feel like I'm dying of frustration right now, because I don't know how to, go with me into one-to-many as opposed to one-to-one, or one to a small group where you're building an intimate connection. And for me, that feels like an important next part of my journey. I mean, I have actually decided, this is the sort of thing that people do when they get to my age. You try and work out, how long do I think I have left? And what would I like to do with it? And I work on the principle, I think I have 20 years left. Now, if I think back to where I was at 50 to 70, wow, that was a journey. So I think there's a hell of a mountain still to climb and an awful lot still to do. And I am stuck with the how to do it, because I want to do it on a bigger scale, to do it on a more expansive scale than I'm doing now. And I don't know how to do that. And maybe I never will. And maybe I'll still be saying 89. I have no idea how to do this.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. So yes, you're looking for scalability. And yeah, I've been reading books about this as well, because this is my personal frustration also, because I also don't want to be working and making money out of the hours I'm working for, because it's also too limited and limiting. It's not just about money. It's about seeing how you can add value, because you touch on repeating yourself. And then at some point you're like, I wish I recorded that, because I'm repeating it and saying the same thing again for the next 8 hours or over 52 weeks, right? So to different people. So
I think in a way, this is not at all a format that we work, because it's very different. But, you know, Steve Bartlett's The Diary of a CEO, that as a notion has been incredibly clever, because he gets very, very talented people on there in the main for them to talk about their lives, and people can dip in. So that in terms of his notion of how, and it's not even his knowledge is the mechanism, is the engineering behind it. My daughter did one of those actually, and it was brilliant. You must watch it. It's very good. But yes, I think, and I think this is a really interesting thing. If you were to go back thousands of years, how did, you know, Epictetus and, you know, Archimedes and all these, and Marcus Aurelius, how did they transmit all their knowledge? Well, they transmitted it. Some of these things, of course, were never written down. They were only ever spoken. And there was someone else who transcribed after the event. We're in the same challenge now as to how to take wisdom. And it tends to be universal wisdom. The sort of things we're talking about, you and I think, they're not skill specific. They're not content specific. They tend to be meta wisdom. They're things that will apply in many different locations, in many different circumstances, to many different people. And it's rather like Aesop's fables. You know, one will take out of them whatever is relevant for you at the time. So, and that's the challenge. So there's the message for you, Marie, if you can work it out for me, or any one of your listeners can work it out. How to take something which is meta and turn it into something which can be spread more universally, one to many.
Yeah, and we have 20 years to achieve that.
20 years. 20 years, and I'll be very cross.
No, I mean, you say it looks like you never want to stop, which is amazing, actually. So
I can't imagine why I would. I can't. There is a little bit of me that would quite like. I would quite like to make more of a thing out of writing, but I suspect that the writing, I want to go on to fiction. I have some fiction ideas, but I always want to get out and talk to people and teach people and motivate.
Yeah, I think I didn't know where this podcast would go to, like any direction, but I find myself you asking for like advice to everyone, like everyone who's listening. Which is
that's how to get anything. The only way you can get anything in life is to ask, and you never know who is out there thinking, I know how to do that. I'm in.
Yeah.
You have to ask the universe. You have to ask the universe. You have to get it out there.